Hello and welcome to this episode of the Buried Rat Podcast, the podcast where I talk about a topic I'm interested in. Today's topic is going to be the artist's way, and I'm going to start with a little introduction of what it is for those who don't know. So it is a book by Julia Cameron. It's a self-help book, but it has this 12-week program you're supposed to follow. It was published in 1992, but basically the program is supposed to help you creatively recover. Oh, and the full title is The Artist's Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity. And a lot of famous artists have done it. I know Doechie's done it. There's a bunch of others, but a lot of people give a lot of credit to this book for their creativity and their ability to be artists, and artists in multifaceted ways as well. Not just a singer, not just a dancer, but singing, rapping, dancing, knitting, crocheting, shadow puppets. It could literally be any medium, but it gives you a lot of work to do on yourself so that you can create, and it helps you tackle different roadblocks in your way, like perfectionism, self-criticism, your finances, things like that. And you just go through the program, and by the time you're done, you're supposed to be creatively recovered, essentially. There's two mainstays of the book, which are the morning pages, where every morning you just write 3 pages of literally anything. It can be, I don't want to write this right now, I'm hungry, I'm excited to do something later today. Whatever comes to your mind in the morning, you just write it down on those 3 pages. And then the artist date, which is once every week, you go on some sort of solo outing, whether it be hiking, going to enjoy nature, going to dinner, cooking. It could be literally anything. It just has to be alone, and it's meant to fill your well and give you some sort of joy, energy. It's something that's recharging for you and something that won't drain your energy. But yeah, I'm going to talk about how I did it, which is not the way you're supposed to do it, and then I'm going to get into my critiques of the book because I have a lot. So the way I did it was that I started with the morning pages because I had heard that that's the main part of the book, and that's, if you're going to do anything from Artist's Way, that's what you should do. So I was okay, let's try this out. I started reading the book because I was let me figure out how I'm supposed to do these and what the purpose kind of is. And I was okay, this is interesting. I'm going to keep reading a little more. I didn't really finish that first week. So each chapter of the book, it's 12 chapters, but each chapter you're meant to finish over the course of a week. I ended up moving because I'm in college, so I went back home for the summer. The place I moved to didn't have Wi-Fi, so I couldn't do the morning pages in the morning because I didn't have Wi-Fi in my house. Which is, you're supposed to do the morning pages in a physical journal. I did it on Google Docs, which is kind of my fault, but I thought it would be more convenient. It honestly wasn't. I think it would have been more convenient to have a physical journal, but anyway, I would do my morning pages an hour after I woke up because I would go to the library and then start writing them because public Wi-Fi. So I still got the morning pages done. It was just weird. And I also didn't do the morning pages every single day like you're supposed to. I just kind of did them whenever I had time before work or whenever I felt like it, really. So sometimes I would do them in the afternoon or the evening. But yeah, it just depended. When I moved back to my college town, I wasn't even on chapter 2 yet of the book, so I get back, and I have 2 weeks before class, so I'm what if I just, the first week I spent, trying to unpack all my stuff and organize all my things and get rid of some stuff, go to Goodwill a couple times, that type of thing, just clearing out my space before school starts and everything. I had 1 week left before school started, and I was you know what, I need a, project to do for myself. I was done with my job for the summer, so I just had a bunch of free time, and I was you know what, let's try Artist's Way. Let's see what this is about. I managed to just lock in and do weeks 2 through 12, so that is 10 weeks worth of content in 3 days, which I would not recommend to anyone. That is probably not what you're intended to do. There's a lot of emotional unpacking and a lot of tasks you have to do. I think I still benefited from it, and I only skipped 3 of the tasks. Each week there's a couple tasks, and I only skipped 3 of them, which were going to collect 5 different rocks, 5 different flowers, and then there was another one that was going on a trip. So those were the 3 that I didn't do, but every other task that was in the book I completed. I don't know if these are takeaways or more what I'm seeing in myself now that I've completed Artist's Way. I'm definitely more creative. Like, I'm a lot more open to trying new things. And I'm a lot less afraid of failure. That's a big part of, like, art, is just that you have to, in order to make a good piece of art, you have to fail at some point. Like, you can't just, if you've never done a medium before, let's say you've never watercolored before, you can't just pick up the paintbrush and expect to make a masterpiece. Like, it's gonna look like a toddler did it the first couple times, but that's okay. Like, you just have to keep encouraging yourself and be like, hey, at least you tried it. You're learning new things. You're seeing what things you do like, what things you don't like, and you're improving your technical skill. It's about growth. It's not about the result. And that's like an important thing to keep in mind just with creativity as a whole. I've stopped making excuses for myself as much. I know a section of the book was talking about how when people don't want to do something, they'll be like, oh, I don't think I have enough time, or I can't afford that, or, you know, some other excuse like that. Most of the time you just don't want to. And it's okay to just say, I don't want to. But it's also, and I would argue it's even better, to just say yes. Instead of I don't have enough money to do that, what if you just say, you know what? I'm going to make money later and it'll come back to me eventually. Or, time, you can make time for yourself. There's a lot of time most people spend just like sitting scrolling TikTok. If you replace that time with something creative and some real life endeavor, it's going to improve your life like tenfold, I'm telling you. And then lastly, I think one of my biggest takeaways is like learning about the difference between valid and invalid criticism, as well as like kind of identifying the people around you and how they interact with you and your art. If there's someone that you're around and it feels like all of the life is getting sucked out of you and the energy is just gone because they're stunting your creative growth, you don't have to be around that person anymore. And a lot of the time it might be a family member, it might be a friend, it might be a romantic partner even for some people. You just have to understand what that means for you and how you want to address that. And similarly, I've kind of grown to a place where I have space for myself and I have confidence in myself. It doesn't matter what other people's opinions of me are, because it's their opinions. I'm fine to live my life. I have a right to exist. I have a right to create art. And just because someone else doesn't like it doesn't mean that it's not a valid piece of art. So, yeah, I think obviously a lot of things have improved in my life, and I've taken a lot of the lessons out of this book to heart, but I do have a lot of critiques about the book, and I'm going to get into those. Some of these I've heard like from people online, and some of them are just kind of my personal things. So firstly, I'm going to talk about neurodiversity. So a lot of neurodivergent people I've seen online have said that they've had problems with the book because of how like rigid the structure of the book is. Again, 12-week program. If you have like ADHD or something, it might not be a good idea for you to do it in the way Julia suggests, because it is 12 weeks of sustained attention, and you have to be able to like, you know, put in the effort to do it every week. Same with autism. If you have difficulties focusing on something you're not interested in, I might have autism, to be honest, and I know I definitely do. If I don't care about something, I'm just not going to do it. If you're similar in that way and you think that the structure might be different, I encourage you, honestly, to make accommodations where you need them. Like I was saying, you know, you don't have the excuse of I don't have enough time, but you definitely have my brain physically can't pay attention for that long. And some people also need to like take medicine in order to sustain their attention for a task like this, and I can understand that as well. It just really depends on the individual and what their needs are, and the book is really bad at giving any sort of wiggle room for people like that. I'd also like to say, if you have like PTSD or something, the book does talk a lot about childhood. I think if that's going to be a triggering topic, you probably also shouldn't do Artist's Way, because going to the hospital with a panic attack is not really the point of Artist's Way. Obviously, you uncover a lot of like emotional stuff and a lot of like, I guess, smaller traumas in your life. But if it's going to be like genuinely triggering, I don't think that Artist's Way is the way to go about your creative journey. Next is spirituality, which is another thing I've heard a lot of people talk about. Again, the book is called The Artist's Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity. And a lot of people have issues with the spirituality aspect of the book, which I'm going to critique the critique a little bit. I don't understand how you're reading that title and then going into it thinking it's not going to say God at all. Obviously, if you have religious trauma, that's one thing. But at the beginning of the book, she says this is not about the, like, Judeo-Christian idea of God. It can be Vishnu, it can be Krishna, it can be Poseidon, it can be the flying spaghetti monster, whatever you need to insert into those sections of the book, you can insert, and it's totally fine. So if it is God to you, that's fine. If it's the Virgin Mary, or it's Archangel Gabriel, or the universe, or something even less defined, or something even more clearly defined, it doesn't matter, just as long as it makes sense to you. And they talk about how, like, the creator and the source of your creative energy is quote unquote God, or whatever else is out there, and you can tap into this infinite source of creativity, energy, and knowledge, so long as that's how you want to take it. I'm also going to talk about the writing is another critique I have. The writing is just bad. In my opinion, it is a tough read, because it felt to me like she took her morning pages and then just published them. Because it's very, like, rambly. She goes on random anecdotes and gives examples that are, like, I mean, they're relevant examples, but she gives way too much information on the examples that you don't really need. And by the time I was at, like, chapter 8, I just kind of skipped most of the examples, because I was like, I understand the point. She'll make the point at the beginning of the chapter and then spend, like, way too long giving examples of, like, this is a radio host who did blah, 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 and this is an actor who did this. Okay, that's cool and all, but I got it the first time. Like, she just keeps repeating, and the repetition, like, I know a lot of people say repetition's, like, the biggest part of Artist's Way. I mean, that's why you do the morning pages every morning, but, like, it genuinely is not. It's a difficult read, because it does not seem well organized at all. Another thing I had a problem with is the, like, cult-like following behind Artist's Way. Obviously, like I said, I do think I benefited from Artist's Way, but I'm not going to defend Julia until the day she dies. Like, she can do wrong, and I think a lot of the book is weirdly written, and some of the points she make aren't valid. She's very, like, rude to you as a reader and wants you to adhere to it, like, 100%. Like, you have to do this. You have to sign a contract at the beginning and the end of the book. And I'm like, I literally didn't do it. I was like, I am not holding myself to that standard, because that's just not going to happen for me. And I know that's not going to happen for me. I get the point is to, like, push yourself to make it possible. But again, like I was saying, especially if you are neurodivergent, that's just not happening, and you are allowed to make changes for yourself. If that's what's gonna be able to get you to the end, you should be able to make changes. And I don't like that she's very strict about it. Lastly is the fact that she kind of puts the Artist's Way as, like, a gift to the art community. So the program itself isn't copyrighted, like, none of the tasks are copyrighted or whatever. I mean, the book itself, I'm pretty sure is copyrighted, but anyone is allowed to do it, anyone's allowed to, like, tell other people about it, it's totally fine, just she has some kind of rules that she wanted. So, like, you're not allowed to have a teacher prescribe Artist's Way to you. You're not allowed to have it as, like, you're not allowed to have it as a class where one person isn't actively doing it themselves, which I thought was weird, because in my head, it would be nice to have someone to kind of look up to as already completed it, to give you information on what to do, and, like, how they did it, and what things they struggled with, what things they thought were easy. Having that kind of feedback seems really helpful to me, but apparently it's not allowed, so I don't know. Again, I think Julia is very strict and very demanding, which for some people works out, but I think a lot of other people find it... What was the word? I saw one person say that she's very, like, self-absorbed in the way she writes, and, like, lacks empathy in a lot of ways, and I would definitely agree with that. Like, obviously these things worked for her and they worked for some of the people she's been around, but like not everyone is going to have the exact same experience, and it doesn't work to like name call them because they weren't able to finish in the 12 weeks or whatever. Like, I think as long as you get it done, that's what matters. So my closing remarks would be, do I recommend this book? I don't think I can say that I would recommend it necessarily. I definitely like the Artist's Way like program. I like doing the task. I liked parts of the reading that like actually made sense and weren't rambly. I just wish there was an edited version that, one, gave you like reasonable accommodations, two, one that cut out all of the extra filler, and three, was more like gentle. She talks about like you have to be gentle with your inner artist and everything, which is why I'm like, how are you going to be so rude to your readers if we need to be gentle with ourselves? I don't know. It seemed very like hypocritical to me. Like I was saying before, if you do have some form of neurodivergence, I think it's important to prioritize that over prioritizing like doing the thing as strictly as she wants you to do it, and finding a structure that works for you. I think if you have a lot of childhood traumas that you know you're not ready to uncover or like reconnect with right now, this isn't the program for you. There's plenty of other like paths to creativity that other people have written and made that are much nicer, much more recent, much less rambly. I don't have any examples off the top of my head, but I remember seeing someone talk about alternatives. So definitely just like look up Artist's Way alternatives and someone will have something for you. But it is a lot of great concepts, but it's just not accessible to everyone, and it's not well written, in my opinion. So yeah, that's how I feel about Artist's Way. I think I got a lot of good out of it, but not everyone's going to get the same amount of good out of it. And yeah, I don't know. You just have to really consider what's important to you. Anyways, that's all. Thanks for watching this episode. If you enjoyed, please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I would love to hear your opinions on the Artist's Way if anyone's completed it already, and what your recommendations are to people who haven't started yet or think they might want to start. Anyway, that's all. Bye-bye.